Hi guys, it's me, I'm the Frugal Chef. I hope you're doing very well today. This is my friend Mercedes.
Hello.
She's from Argentina. We're friends here in Guam, and she's gonna make something very delicious for us. What are you making?
I'm making French bread for you, and I hope everybody can make it and enjoy it.
Oh, everybody will make it. Her instructions are pristine. You're gonna love this. I showed you a piece of her bread when we made the clam chowder. Remember I told you we are going to be making this soon. So as promised, here we go, French bread.
All right. We're going to do the French bread. We're going to do it with a food processor, but you can do it by hand. It's just to speed up the process only. Okay. In the food processor, I have put 3 cups of bread flour. Also, I have added with the bread flour a teaspoon of kosher salt. The kosher salt, I prefer kosher salt, but by any means you can add regular salt, it's just fine.
What happens if you can't find bread flour? Can you make this without bread flour, or do you have to make it with bread flour?
Actually, bread flour, if you have gluten, you can add 1 tablespoon of gluten per cup and a half of flour. Okay. So that will substitute the bread flour. Okay. But there is no problem. Even if you don't have bread flour or gluten, you can still do it with all-purpose flour.
With all-purpose, okay.
Yeah. That's all. For the 3 cups of flour, we're going to use a cup and a quarter of water. We're just going to put it in the microwave and get it warm until it's lukewarm. Okay?
Like a baby bottle.
Like a baby bottle, exactly. Once the water is warm, make sure to touch it and turn your finger inside just to make sure that the temperature is everywhere even, mm-hmm. Right? Once we add the yeast, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of sugar on top of it. Just sprinkle it. What this sugar is going to do is going to help feed the yeast. We're going to stir the yeast and the sugar, and we're going to let it rest for about 10 minutes so the yeast gets all fluffy and we can add it to the flour. Okay. As you can see, the yeast is foaming, is blooming, so that is good. We're going to add now the yeast water to the flour. Okay. And now we're going to process it until it gets to all the in a ball. As you can see, the consistency of the dough is pretty nice. So we're going to take it out and we're going to knead it for a little bit by hand.
Hey, by the way, if you're using a food processor, don't use the metal knife, to process food. You need one of these dough, I don't know, thingy-majingies. I really don't know what they're called. But if you don't have this in your food processor, you're better off doing all of this by hand, okay?
Once we take the dough out of the processor, we sprinkle a little bit of flour on the board so we can knead it. Make sure when you knead it, you turn and incorporate lots of air. That's going to help the French bread be much nicer.
How long do you think you're going to knead it?
If you're doing the whole bread by hand, knead it about 8 minutes total. If you are only kneading after using the food processor, 3-4 minutes is fine. Do not incorporate too much flour after you take it out of the food processor because you really don't need it. And if you do, the bread is not going to be as nice. As you can see, once you finish kneading, the dough is really nice, and if you press it in the middle, it springs back. This should be the stage where you put it in to
rice.
rice.
Okay.
Once it's done, the kneading process, you put it in a bowl, spray it with a little bit of oil, cover it with a towel, even plastic wrap works. We're gonna let the dough rest and rise in a draft-free place until it doubles in size. Usually takes about an hour. Okay, it's been an hour and the dough looks great. Has risen very beautifully, and now it's time to make it into a loaf for rolls.
Perfect.
We're gonna punch down the air out.
Look at how beautiful that dough is. It's nice and even and elastic. It's beautiful.
And remember, do not use too much flour, okay? You don't need it. Now we're going to let it rest for just a little bit. Now that we have let the dough rest for a few minutes, we're gonna divide it in two. One part we're gonna make it into a loaf, into a baguette, and the other one we're gonna divide it into equal parts and make individual rolls. We're gonna cut and we're going to make into maybe 70 grams, 60 to 70 grams rolls.
If you want ounces, that's a couple ounces, guys.
Yeah. 2.5 ounces, that's the size I make them. We're gonna weigh between 60 and 70 grams. I think 60 will be just fine.
Again, guys, this is optional. You can eyeball this perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's not necessary to have one of these, but if you want them to look professional, that's actually a good thing. Now we're going to roll them. The idea is to always make a ball, but sealing everything. So this is what I do. The way, kind of like holding a softball or a baseball. Roll softly, don't close your hand too much. And then you pinch, 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 pinch. And that's it. To make sure that we get that boat shape of a roll, a beautiful roll, we're going to press the sides without pressing the center. We need the center to be aerated as much as we can. To let them rest and rise again, we have to let them rise twice. I mean, double in size. We're gonna put them in a pizza pan. If you have non-stick, perfect. You don't need any oil or anything. If it's not, you're gonna use a little bit of cooking spray or oil. Just make sure not to put so much.
It's better if it has little holes in it.
Yes, because that's going to help crisp underneath and on the top. We're now going to cover it and let it rise until they're double in size. That will take about 30 more minutes. Now we're going to make the baguette. We're going to press the air out a little bit.
If you need a little tiny bit of flour, you can add it, but most of the time you don't need it, so just please don't over flour your dough. Notice that Mercedes is stretching out her dough. She's kind of pulling it.
And now we're going to start rolling and pinching. When we get to the edge, we pinch, pinch, pinch. Make sure to pinch all the way to seal the whole bread. We roll it a little bit. Hi, her dad. He is traveling right now, but he loves my bread, so oh well. We pinch the ends. We're going to use these baguette mold. You don't need to, but if you have one, this is the time to use it, huh? You can actually use a little bit of cooking spray to make sure that it doesn't get stuck. Remember, this recipe has no oil, so sometimes the flour sticks to the surface. Once in the mold, we're gonna again let it rise until it doubles in size, maybe 30 minutes or so. As you can see, this is the bread, the rolls right after they have risen for the second time. Now we're gonna make a slit in the center just to look prettier and the air to escape a little bit. You have to do this with a very sharp knife. Before putting it in the oven, we're going to spray it with water, and then once it's in the oven, we're going to spray it again, and this is going to help crisp up the outside, make the inside very nice. So I recommend, if you can find a sprayer, do it. While it is in the oven baking, we're going to spray it every 5 to 7 minutes with water. That's going to allow the crust to be nice, crunchy, and shiny. Total cooking time between 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how you like it, if you like it darker or not. Here we have the baguette. We're going to make incisions in diagonal so it looks more bakery. Professional from bakery.
Wow.
Same thing with with the rolls. We're gonna spray the loaf before putting it in the oven, and then when it's in the oven, we're going to repeat the spraying every 5 to 10 minutes. With that, we're going to ensure the bread is awesome. It's been 7 minutes, about 7 minutes that these rolls have been in the oven. Look how beautiful they are. We're going to spray them once again. Con agua. We're going to turn it around. Here is the final product. As you see, really nice and crispy on the outside. One tip for you, if you have leftovers, sometimes you don't, but if you do, you can freeze it, but always make sure that it's completely cold before you put it in the freezer. Here I want to show you the sponge that it's formed in the middle. It's beautiful. See all the little bubbles of air? That's what you obtain if you do not press when you are forming the baguette. You don't press it in the middle. Same thing with the rolls. We divide one in half so you can see, same thing, all the little bubbles, because we didn't squish too much the middle of it.
I may put some butter on mine.
I don't need butter, but that's okay.
Let's see.
I'm telling you, you gotta give it a try. This is awesome.
Thank you, Mercedes. This was awesome.
Oh, thank you so much for letting me enjoy this with you.